Dr. Vani Garu, Dr. Sirisha Garu, and many others. Thank you so much for having me over here. It's an honor, it's a pleasure to be in front of all of you today. I'd like to share with you a little bit about my journey and into generative AI, and hopefully my goal is to inspire many of you to embrace some of these technologies that are the future for us and that are going to shape all of our lives, all of our society, the business, and many things around us in the future years, right? So before I get started, first and foremost, CEO of Imajo Corporation. It's a fintech company, and I'm also a co-founder of Touch Alive Foundation, where we are focused around bringing social innovation, using technology. Just like each one of you, I was a student right here in Hyderabad, and I graduated from Usmania University, Electronics and Communications Engineering from 86 to 90 batch. And from there, I went to United States. I did my master's from University of Santa Clara, and I did my computer engineering. Later on, I worked for Canon Information Systems, where I was involved in developing the first color printer, and I was involved in developing that color printer technology. Later on, I moved to Cisco Systems, where I went on to the networking side of the business. The internet was beginning to boom at that particular time, and I worked for Cisco, developing software for Cisco. I'm still in Silicon Valley. So Silicon Valley is a place where all of the world's leading companies, or a majority of the world's leading companies, you name it, Google, you met back then, the Yahoo and the Cisco's of the world, the Netflix, the Facebook, and many companies emerge out of that particular valley. And it was very, very inspirational for me, and I wanted to get onto a very entrepreneurial journey at that particular time. And so I stepped out of Cisco and got into trying out forming my own company. The journey was very interesting. At that time, I was probably one of the very few Indian women starting out a software company, and that too in the enterprise business to business space. So I was the odd one out, and many people said, this is tough, you can't make it, you got to step out and do something different, you can do a job and all of that. But my passion to build something new, my passion to build something innovative, and also the passion to prove that if somebody else can do, why not we have the brains too and we can do this too, right? So that drove me all of these years, and my focus has been around bringing technology to the finance organization. So over the last 15 to 20 years, I have primarily focused on bringing cutting edge technology to finance organizations, primarily for business purposes, business to business enterprise systems. You may have heard about Oracle, SAP, and all of these large enterprise systems. And all of these large enterprise systems need to be maintained as financial systems of records. But at the same time, hundreds of finance people work in companies to keep their finance processes and applications going. So my goal has been, how can we bring automation? How can we bring analytics? How can we bring AI to that particular field? And how can you bring efficiencies for companies? How can you make teams very productive? And how can you improve the financial performance of the companies using technology? So that has been my passion over the last 15, 20 years. And continuously, this space has been evolving. This space is today called fintech. But again, this space has been called enterprise business automation, business process automation, and various different names. So what does Imaja do? Imaja builds platforms called autonomous finance platforms. I'm sure each one of you have heard autonomous vehicles. So what is an autonomous vehicle? Autonomous vehicle is a vehicle that can self-drive itself. It knows how to see what is out there on the road. It knows where to go, whether to take a right turn, left turn, when to brake, when not to brake, and go from one place to the other in a very safe manner. So Google started out, as one of the first company, putting the Google Maps and driving, some sort of autonomous vehicle research, and later on, again, we have seen Teslas and many others. So in about 2018, we embarked on this journey of autonomous finance systems, meaning if a vehicle is able to go by itself, why a finance system cannot function by itself? Today, in many companies, if a company is selling a product, they have to, again, receive an order from the customer. They have to invoice a customer. They have to collect the money from the customer. They have to apply that particular payment to an invoice in the ERP system. And there are a lot of nuances between, again, starting the business to maintaining the financial systems. There are a lot of documents that are involved. There are a lot of conditions involved. There are a lot of, business situations that are involved. So what if you have a system that can take care of understanding what is the customer ordering and how can we take the order automatically? How can I invoice the customer automatically? How can I remind the customer for payments? How can I collect the payments? If the customer is paying less or more, what is it that I can do to, communicate with the customer? All of those aspects is where we have focused on how can you build this as an intelligent system where the system is able to do 80 to 90% of the activities and bring out efficiency. Those kind of systems are called autonomous finance systems, meaning the finance system is able to run by itself 80 to 90% activities, right? So that's what I've been focused on. So let's get to the topics of how AI is getting into these various different aspects. So first and foremost on AI, there are various types of things in the AIs, right? So you all have heard about, first and foremost, we all started out with natural language processing. We all know there are digital assistants, like a Siri on your Apple phone, or, Google Assistant, for example, Amazon Alexa. We have all seen that. We have all seen that, from 2015, 2016, 2017, is when they actually got it out to the market. So today, there are enterprise agents, and this is where from Imaja we have built, agent called Gia. It is an AI co-pilot using natural language processing. Basically, Gia is able to understand what the requirements are from people in the company and able to answer with questions. For example, if I'm a CFO and I want to ask a question of, hey, what was the sales like in the last, in March? Or give me which customer paid how much, or, which division performed better. So Gia will be able to answer all of that questions and, reply back in an accurate manner. Likewise, all of the, the computer vision and, the document processing. Today it's called intelligent document processing. What is intelligent document processing? Today you can have any type of documents. For example, you can have a receipt. You go to the hotel, they give you a receipt. You can have that receipt. You're working, you have a pay stub or your tuition receipt. There are so many different type of documents, right? Today AI is able to read all of those documents and take that data and, again, put that in whatever systems of storage that you have, right? So intelligent document processing is very, very, advanced these days, and that is something that can really provide a lot of value, because lot of human efficiency is stuck or becomes mundane in the documents. And this is where, again, a lot of intelligent document processing is an area, a lot of research is going on, and getting into that particular direction. What is machine learning? Machine learning is taking a lot of data and understanding patterns to be able to make a decision. We just saw a lot of data over here, and we understood the pattern, right? So similarly, if you have a lot of data in your financial systems, in your sales systems, in any business systems, to be able to understand all of that and to be able to derive patterns. So many of my customers bought only that particular product. Maybe I should focus on that. So many of customers, complain on so-and-so product. Maybe we're having a particular problem. So many times, that product, did not get delivered on time. Maybe my logistics provider is not correct. So like that, machine learning, first of all, provides you the pattern and then predicts, right? If I want to understand forecasting, how many customers will buy what? Okay, how many customers will pay how much? And which customers will dispute, certain things. So like that, there are so many different things. Again, I'm talking in the context of finance, and I will get into other areas, right? All of these things, machine learning has been there over the last almost a decade. You're talking about, the natural language processing has almost been there for a decade. We also saw, the computer vision evolving over a decade. It is still evolving. Again, we are seeing this in documents, we are seeing this on videos, we are seeing this on, cameras recognizing the faces, for example. All of that is computer vision, evolving over a decade. With all of that, it has been more of a machines or computer trying to understand the patterns, trying to extract the patterns, trying to get the information. All of that has been, a decade kind of a work, going on. Now, very recently, we are now into this new realm of generative AI. What is generative AI? Generative AI is AI that is capable of generating something new, generating a new content, right? So far, over the last decade, AI was capable of understanding and giving information and communicating, recognizing. It's all based on the data that you are giving. But now with generative AI, it is now able to produce new content. So that's a whole shift of paradigm, because the possibilities of what AI can do in our everyday life shifts tremendously. And today I will spend a little bit of time on what are the possibilities with generative AI. So ChatGPT is the first most popular generative AI application. There have been other applications that came up, but that is the first most generative AI application. Now, what does ChatGPT, or what did ChatGPT do? ChatGPT, they have taken all the information everywhere on the web, and they have fed it to, ChatGPT, and there is a model called large language model. Large language means it's able to understand generalized languages. It's able to understand all sorts of documents, even the slangs, or even different type of information, right? Information that is coming in scale, it's able to understand, and it is able to produce a generalized answer, right? So large language models are today, one of the fundamental aspects of generative AI. So those of you, who want to experiment, or you looking at, what is generative AI, the components, the key components are large language models, right? The possibility with this large language models is you ask any question. For example, if I want to ask, please explain Pythagoras theorem to me. it will nicely explain Pythagoras theorem to me. If I ask the chat GPT on explain this Pythagoras theorem, to a 10-year-old, it will communicate in a certain way. Explain this Pythagorean theorem to a graduate student, it communicates in a different way. Explain this Pythagoras theorem to a non mathematical person, it can change the language and the tone, and it can explain. So it is able to generate various different kind of responses using the information it has. So that is a very, very, very powerful next generation AI, and the possibilities are enormous. And think about again, applications in education, for example, anywhere, even in rural villages, simply with an app, a student can ask a question of any topic and will be able to get an answer. If you don't have teachers accessible, if you don't have homework tutors accessible, all of those things can be done on the education front. Now let's take healthcare. In healthcare today, a lot of us go to the doctors, and a lot of us also do internet searches, right? So if you want to ask chat GPT on, hey, here are some of the questions, or here are some of the symptoms, what do you think it has, it can certainly provide some element of that. Also think about all of the healthcare data that is lying around somewhere, and it cannot be processed by majority of the database systems today. These large language models are able to read handwriting, they are able to read all of these documents and able to get a sense of that. So healthcare is going to be take a huge different revolution with generative AI. Entertainment, movies. Today you can ask ChatGPT to write a small script of a movie. Okay, you can simply say, hey, so and so are my characters, and I want action movie, and this is so and so plot. Please generate the script. It can easily write a script, right? You can ask ChatGPT to produce a nice white paper. You can ask ChatGPT to write up a small essay. You write up an Instagram message. All of those things very easily, it is able to write a draft, write some initial one. Now, even upping the game, right? There are new tools, that are actually generating beyond the text. Generative AI is able to produce images. So if you have heard about DALL-E, okay, with a simple prompt, I can simply ask DALL-E saying, hey, here is the room of people, and here is, I want a picture of an auditorium with a person speaking and a room full of students. It can, within seconds, it will create a picture or a photograph or an artist image to bring out that particular one, right? So images also can be generated. Today it's able to generate videos or some sort of a active moving content. So that is also another thing in terms of how you can use generative AI in the movie and entertainment type of industry. So likewise, if you want to use it for again every industry it is touching, right? So there are images, there is music, there is videos, there is content, and today generative AI is even able to produce code. You can simply ask generative AI, please write a Python code. I want the program to take so and so inputs, and I want so and so outputs to be generated, right? So it will simply write up the code. So what does this mean for all of us? So much of power of to be able to produce something. Now, is this challenging human capacity? What are we supposed to do as humans? What are we supposed to do? And how can we get better value for our skills and our talent, right? So this is where, again, as students and as future, innovators or future, employees or, again, future leaders, what should you focus on to become successful, right? So gone are the days where, people are able to go incrementally one step to the next step to the next step to the next step. The world is changing very fast. Technology is changing very fast. So what is really important for students is to understand, what are the latest trends that are happening, what are the important packages that are out there. There are a lot of free courses. There's Microsoft is offering free courses, Google is offering free courses, Amazon is offering free courses, and several others are offering free courses. So first and foremost, raise your awareness on AI, raise your awareness on generative AI, because this technology is catching up so fast. It is absolutely going to be applied in every place that you go to, and it will be an everyday technology. So you cannot be sitting by the sidelines. Just like how when the internet revolution came, lot of the websites came up, e-commerce came up, and people who didn't know internet or didn't want to use AI internet, they got left behind. Likewise, when the mobile revolution came, if people did not know how to use mobile phones or write a mobile app or, just use a mobile app, people got left out. Now, this is the AI generation. People who don't understand AI, people who don't know how to use AI, they are going to get left behind. And this is a very, very important thing to know. It doesn't matter which major that you are in, whether you are in an AI ML major or whether you are in computer science, whether in cybersecurity, whether in mechanical, electrical, everywhere AI will be used. So first and foremost, try to understand what is AI and where can I use and how can I use. There are tools that are out there, very, very simple tools, and you can simply start with a chat GPT just by chatting, right? So where does human creativity come if these tools, are creating all sorts of things, right? Your creativity comes on, first of all, how to use these tools. That's a basic. Figure out how to use these tools. There's something called prompt engineering. What is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering means the way you ask questions and get the answer to the tool. Because AI has all of that information, it can give you some response, but you have to make sure that you're asking the right question in the right way, right? So if I want to ask a question, for example, how many students, are in this particular college? That question, it may give some answer. But if I say, how many students are in this college in the year 2024, then I'll get the right answer, right? So like that, prompt engineering, you got to figure out how you can use prompt engineering in creative ways. And where is the opportunity for students? Where is the opportunity for, again, future employment, right? The ability to create applications, the ability to create products is where you need to focus on. Lot of times, when we graduate out of college, including myself, when I graduated out of engineering college, I learned electronics, math, science, everything. But I did not know how this can be applied to a product, how you can create a product, right? When you go to the corporate world, it's all about applying these technologies to an application or applying these technologies to create a product that can generate value, right? If you're working for-profit businesses, you should create products where customers can use it, or internal company finance teams, sales teams, whoever can use it, right? There are applications you can use for society. For example, we've talked about the AI tutor that anybody and everybody, all kids, all over the place can use. We're talking about AI doctor, anybody and everybody can use. For example, one student, the student was again in high school, somewhere about 15, 16 years. This student took all the data, public data available on the the health data systems, public data systems, where the eye retina image took all of that data, eye diseases can be detected. Okay, so she created a small application which can be used by rural villages simply by taking a photo on their mobile phone and putting it in the app. This app is now comparing with all of the data that is already available and simply giving a response back in the local language, in Telugu for example, saying, hey, kantlo edo problem undi, meeru you have to go visit the doctor, right? Simple such sort of applications, everyday applications that are beneficial for the society can be developed with using the technologies. So one of the key thing I would encourage all of you is get onto projects where you are able to take concepts of generative AI or even any other concepts. So take those concepts and generate small applications. You can start out with simple applications that are related to healthcare, for example, applications that are related to everyday usage. You can have an app where you want to feel safe in the in the campus. How do you connect to friends and buddies in the campus, or you want to have some sort of a homework help, or you want to have transportation, for example, sharing rides and other things. So many different apps, or pollution related, or energy. How can we have more solar grids and collect that and then provide electricity to the university building. So many different things, right? So whether it is to your university or whether it is locally over here to this part of the city or town, or whether it is for the state or country or the world, right? So think about applications and think about where you can take a small technology concept and create a product and create an application and see how you are able to make an impact. So I would very, very strongly encourage you all to, first of all, use some of these tools and start thinking creatively where you can apply the tools, right? So the journey, again, this technology is moving extremely fast. So subscribe to some of the key journals out there. Follow Microsoft is right there developing some of these things. There's Google developing a lot of generative AI applications. There's OpenAI out there. So make sure you are on the top of these content streams, so that way you're understanding what's happening, where is this technology going, and constantly think about how do you use that technology and how do you apply to a local problem, how do you apply to a local application, right? So that is one of the key things, because a lot of times students, you learn everything, you get some good GPAs and you look for a job, and once you go to the job, the people who succeed really well are people who are able to apply the technology to the product or apply the technology to a new innovation and show value, right? So those who do not do that will, again, we all know different levels of in the employment, right? You will be at a risk of again being in the lower levels or risk of eliminating. So this is a hot new technology. If you're able to understand, if you're able to move with the pace of it, you will be able to move very fast and grab the new opportunities. There are so many new opportunities in healthcare, again, as I said, healthcare, transportation, medical, educational, everywhere you can apply these kind of things. So with that, again, one of the things that I was also mentioning to Principal Dr. Srinivas Reddy Garu is we'll be happy to again create a center of excellence for generative AI. We'll be happy to give projects related to that. We are doing a lot of projects in generative AI, and both for corporate purposes as well as social good purposes. We'd be happy to associate all of you with that particular program. The other important thing I would like to highlight is all of you youth, right? Now you have technology, you have education, and you can use technology for creating big social disruption, social good disruption, right? Meaning you can create applications that are useful for the disadvantaged, for the underprivileged, for the people who don't have the kind of access that all of you have. So focus your energy, focus your technology to create something. For example, how can you create very very bottom of the pyramid, very very poor people. Maybe you have some financial applications that you can provide to them. There are people who are suffering not having food. How can you create applications where maybe there is a food sharing? There is one person who created the company name is FarmLink. He has created an application. Two Stanford students, they've created an application where all farms are connected to that application. Whenever the farm is having some excess produce or something and it is going for wastage, they can at least inform local people to be able to take that, right? Or otherwise, sometimes you have parties and you would have some food and you want to distribute that. There's an app to produce that kind of a distribution, right? So like that, many apps are there, many places you can apply, and you can combine all sorts of technologies in that. You can combine generative AI, you can combine mobile, you can combine cloud, and create very very socially good applications. So I would absolutely encourage many of you, before you graduate, you should absolutely have one corporate project, one social good project, and fill up your resume with that. And your ability to talk how you're using technology to address a corporate problem, to address a social good problem, this will take you long ways in your life, right? So I would absolutely encourage each one of you to work with your professors and see how you can get onto those particular projects. Innovation mindset and exponential thinking. Right? So what is innovation mindset? Innovation mindset is always thinking about something new and creative, right? So all of us learn technology, all of us understand technology, but if you have an innovation mindset, you're constantly thinking about, hey, I see a problem out there, and what is the best possible solution that can happen, right? And think about the solution first, and then work that solution backwards to how do you create that solution, right? So many people, for example, if you look at large companies, if you look at whether it's a Google or whether it is Facebook or Netflix, etc. Take an example of Facebook. At the time that it started, Mark Zuckerberg was primarily looking at how do you bring all of the friends together, and how do you create a small network. And he had a wish list of, here is how I can pull it together, and then he worked it backwards and it created a huge company called Facebook. Likewise, Netflix, at that time all of the movies were on the cassettes, right? Video cassettes, right? And they talked about, hey, this is so inconvenient, picking up the cassette and bringing it back and paying the rent, and if I'm forgetting, I can't go return it. What if I simply click a button and then get the movie right there in my TV, right? That is an innovative idea, that's a creative idea. At that time it looked very impossible, but today it's a reality. Many of the sci-fi movies, they look like they're future, but that's where future goes. Today if you look at any of the old sci-fi movies, all of that is reality. Earlier we did not have remotes. Today we have remotes. Today we have microwaves. Today we have again satellites and so many other things, right? So I would like to encourage each one of you, think very creatively, think about innovation, and that mindset will take you long ways into the future, right? So that's where majority of the companies and innovators and top executives focus on just creating a dream, creating an innovative solution, and they work it backwards. So you don't need to wait for that. You can start doing that creatively right now itself. So that's innovation thinking. Other one, exponential mindset. What is exponential mindset? Exponential mindset is always thinking about, if I had infinite possibilities, if I did not have any constraints, what is the potential solution? For example, let me talk about Uber or Ola. At that time, they talked about, hey, if everyone had cell phones, and everyone had if there was possibility, if I simply click a button and I get a cab, or within few minutes, how can I make it possible? Possibilities are limitless, meaning I don't have to worry about how my technology will scale. I don't have to worry about how many drivers are out there, etc., etc. Right? So first, eliminate all of the constraints and think about a solution where you have everything working, all resources and all possibilities. What will your solution look like? That's the exponential thinking. So from there, you work backwards as to what are all the things you need to do to get to that particular solution. So there is a methodology. Please Google up the exponential thinking. Please Google up innovation mindset. And besides whatever you're doing in your day-to-day studies, if you're able to inculcate that exponential thinking innovation mindset, you will stay far ahead compared to a lot of other people. So please start thinking about some of these concepts, and I absolutely encourage you to get involved in some creative thinking and innovation thinking. And please come onto our labs. I'll be happy to work with our professors over here to see how we can bring some of those projects out to you to help you practice innovation thinking and exponential thinking. Certification and also generative AI certifications. Please go to Microsoft, IBM, AWS, Google, any of those sites. There are a lot of free certifications available. So before you graduate, if you have those skill certificate, your skills will be valuable in your job related aspect. I'd also like to talk a little bit about what we do with Touch a Life. Touch a Life Foundation. We have a foundation where we are focused on how to create the social good solutions using technologies, right? So for example, the first one we have created, we call it as the TAL Giving app, meaning if anybody needs, today if some a person in Vijayawada with all of that floods, they need some kind of a help, they can put it on that particular platform. Anybody anywhere, whether it is from here, whether it's US, UK, can provide help to that particular person, right? So TAL Giving app is what we have created. Likewise, we have created something called TAL Hospitals, meaning all doctors who want to volunteer their opinions or advice are on that particular platform. So today, if somebody wants some critical advice or a free advice, we bring them on to that particular TAL Hospital app, and we are able to provide TAL Hospitals. So like that, we have several different ones. So we have something called TAL Youth Clubs, and I'd absolutely encourage each one of you to come participate with us. So in the TAL Youth Clubs, we want students to use technology for three main purposes. First and foremost, social entrepreneurship. We teach entrepreneurship, meaning you have an idea, we will help you how to realize that idea, and that idea has to be a social good idea, meaning you're trying to help somebody, the poorest of the poorest, or some disadvantaged, or somebody physically not mobile, or any disadvantaged areas. If you want to build an app, we will help you go through that entrepreneurial journey. We'll teach you how to go from app idea to a business plan, and how to pitch that particular business plan. So that track is called social entrepreneurship track. The second track is called social advocacy. So those of you who want to raise awareness of a social problem, we want you to use, again, technologies. For example, we have a streaming radio, We have a streaming app, so use that, to be able to do podcasts, to be able to do, any sort of raising of the awareness. For example, we have some students, focused on raising awareness of, how, certain, raising awareness on, some health related issues, or raising awareness of how mental health issues, for example, or how to attack, those kind of problems. So like that, you can, any kind of, underprivileged people, going through some sort of issues, raise awareness, right? So we have, what we call as a social advocacy, the radio and the, blogging, TAL radio, TAL media, you can join that. The last is, the philanthropy. So you can use, again, as leaders, if you do want to, gather, any sort of you can have a fundraising drive, like a donation drive, gather people all over the world to support a particular cause and go support the cause. Today we are, again, supporting a number of different causes. So any of these kind of activities that are useful for you, we are here with the TAL youth clubs, and this will only help you to become better leaders. This will only help you to become better human beings, and a well-rounded, not just math, science, technology, but a well-rounded person who can use your skills to the betterment of the society and, for the betterment of other people. So that gives you, again, makes you better leaders, makes you better person, and gives you happiness. So we want to encourage you to join our, TAL youth and TAL clubs. So lot of applications can be done, lot of, social advocacy can be done, a lot of, social philanthropy can be done. So please join us, and we'll be happy to, have these activities, here in Vigyan Institute.